Hello and welcome back to the Frugal Granny channel. My name's Ali and I'm Frugal Granny. And as some of you have guessed this week, I am no longer almost 65 years old. I am actually 65 years old. This week has been my birthday week. And to all of those who have wished me a happy birthday over the course of the last couple of videos, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's quite funny to think that I've actually made it to 65. I can't believe it. I still feel 18 inside, quite frankly. It's just the occasional ache and pain that makes me realise that I'm not. And tonight, this evening, I've got two of my sons and one of their partners are coming round, and we're going to have a lovely roast beef and Yorkshire pudding dinner, which I'm cooking. I'm not going to let anybody cook that for me because I want it cooked just the way I want it. I was very fortunate earlier this week in that I found a topside joint that is on Christmas offer at the supermarket where I work, and I also had a £3 voucher, so I managed to get an almost 2 kilogram joint of roast beef or roasting beef for £8. And I'll show you the receipt there. I'm absolutely chuffed about it. It's the best birthday present I could have had, quite frankly. I cannot remember the last time I had a roasting beef, and this is a wonderful gift. Anyway, if you're new here, you're very welcome. It's lovely to see you. I honestly cannot believe that over the last week, maybe even less than a week, I've had 400 new subscribers. It doesn't seem a minute ago since I was saying, hey, we've hit 5,000. And we're now at 5,404. So welcome to all of you who are new. It's really lovely to see you. If you want to know a little bit more about me, I'm going to link in the top right hand corner my very first ever video, which is called Hello, I'm Frugal Granny UK. Now, as some of you have noticed, I've changed a lot in the last 6 or 7 months, and although it's the same physical person speaking to you, I'm not really quite the same person as I was in that first video. Someone who was very unsure, completely stressed out with their office job, and not really terribly confident in what lay ahead. But 6 or 7 months down the line, my life's very different. And as I said in a recent video, do I regret retiring early? Also, which I'll link up there. No, not one little dot. I feel so much better in myself, and it's just fantastic also to have had YouTube to carry me along and to give me a focus, and documenting my progress really has been a very good benefit for me. Anyway, talking about YouTube, you're not going to believe this, but the video you are watching now is my 100th video. It hardly seems possible that that can have happened. I do remember sitting there with my mobile phone in my hand with my first video thinking, shall I upload this? Well, I'm so glad I did. It's been an amazing journey. So here we are, 100 videos later, 5,404 subscribers later. And I also went into the analytics to see how many views my channel has had. And at the moment, we're standing at about 464,000 views. So it's not quite 500,000, but almost. And again, I'm amazed that people are watching this channel and they're finding it interesting. And thank you to all of you who comment and engage in discussions. And there have been times when you've pointed out to me that I've been wrong about something, or I could have done something differently or better. And I'm very grateful for that indeed, because we are never too old to learn that something could be done better, or that we've been doing something incorrectly for a while. So thank you so much. So today, that is crazy. I forgot to thank all of you returning viewers. Thank you very much for coming back to watch this, and you know, it's been amazing getting to know you over the last 6 months, 7 months, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. 8 months really it's been now. So thank you so much, and I hope you stick with it. There's a lot more to come. It's not over yet. Right, now it's Thursday, and on Thursday we have what I call Coffee and Catch Up, which is a sort of financial roundup of the week, the financial challenges that I've met and I've overcome, a look at what might be up ahead, other things that might have happened. Right, so this week, the main thing that has happened is I've had my YouTube income for October, and that's been allocated accordingly, and I will just let you know what that is now. 1 minute as I look off to the side to my big spreadsheet. And that's another thing that's happened this week, that although my Microsoft 365 trial period is over, I didn't realise that I was not going to lose total access to Excel. I've now got a very basic access to it, but it's enough to power my spreadsheet, and I'm really grateful for that. And although I've transferred a couple of tabs over to Google Drive, most of it's all still on Excel. So I'm grateful for that. I really am. That was another thing that I've learnt, really, and that's fantastic. Right, so October YouTube income came in as £518.82, which is absolutely fantastic. So thank you to all of you who've commented and liked and engaged and watched the ads. I really do appreciate that, because without YouTube I would have sunk months ago. I really would have sunk months ago, and I'm so grateful to all of you. So what have I done with that £518? It makes me feel very rich, but I'm telling you now, it really doesn't go as far as you think. Right, the first thing I've done is put £30.44 back into my emergency fund. Those of you who've been with me for a while will have endured the laptop saga. For those of you who are new, I was tending to sit in bed quite late at night and doing various things on my laptop, and on a couple of occasions I fell asleep and my laptop slipped off my knee sideways onto the floor. Now, the last time it did that, the screen was very badly damaged, and I was looking at my laptop after that in pink and white with green stripes for quite a long time. I'm not going to go into the details, but my son's laptop broke as well, and what with a lot of sort of discussion and organisation, I've now ended up with a new laptop, and I have to pay my emergency fund £30.44 a month back for about, how many months is it? 23 months. I mean, this laptop really is going to be a YouTube expense, because I use it mainly for the desktop version of YouTube Studio. So I'm sure I can probably claw some of this back from tax at the end of the tax year, but for the time being, I am paying back my emergency fund £30.44 a month. Now that leaves me with £488.38. Now, once I've deducted my expenses, I'm going to put money aside for tax, because technically that £488 is profit. So £146.51 will be going into my tax account. I just put it there and save it, ready for HMRC to take it. And that is 30% of my profit. Now, I've said before that I do this because although I'm only liable for 20%, I'm a bit concerned that HMRC might charge me what's called tax on account, which means they will want half up front for next year of what I paid last year. Now, if they want it, that means I've got it. If they don't want it, that means I have technically saved 10% of my YouTube income for the tax year, and I can put that into savings or do something constructive with it if they don't want it. But if they do want it, then I'm not going to be in hot water. Then the next thing I have done, and these are things in order of priority, is put £300 in what I call my buffer fund. Now, for those of you who are new, again, I'm going to link a video up there called Setting Up My Buffer Fund, and that will explain to you the basics of how my buffer fund works. Essentially, long story short, what I try and do every month is put my income into this buffer fund, and then at the end of the month, beginning of the next month, I pay myself £1,400 living expenses for the month ahead. Anything that's left over stays in the buffer fund, and I'm letting it stay there and accumulate until I've got £1,500 in there, which will act as my 1 month reserve. Now, once we get to that point, obviously I'm going to have to review my budgeting strategy, but at the moment we're not quite there yet. So, right, £300 into the buffer fund. That leaves me with £41.87. Again, those of you who've been with me for a while will know that I rather unexpectedly acquired a second dog at the end of the summer, and you can hear Bella snoring in the background. Yep, for those of you who are new, the background noise is my 2 black pugs snoring on my bed, and as any pug owner knows, you cannot go anywhere without your flotilla of pugs. They are always there, and so is the snoring, and I do apologise for that. Right, now when I got Bella, I took her to the vet, and she had all her injections and her wormers and flea treatment, and I signed her up for the practice plan so that I get a discount on that, plus all the other frills that go with it, and it does mean that I will get a discount on her spay operation when it's time for that. But I had to pay 2 months up front, which was £39. Now, I've paid the vet fund back some of that money, and I still need to put £10.90 in that fund to pay back those 2 months. So that's what I'm doing. £10.90 is going back into my vet sinking fund. I did a video about my sinking funds, and again, I'll link that in the top right-hand corner. I need to be careful about the number of videos I refer you to, because I'm only allowed to refer you to 5 during the course of one video. So if for some reason I mention a 6th one and I can't add it, then I do apologise. Right, so when I've put that £10.90 into my vet sinking fund, I've got £30.97 left. Now, this month I had 2 family birthdays. One of my grandchildren had a birthday and one of my adult kids had a birthday. So I've sent my grandchild £10 and I sent the adult kid £10. So that's £30. I don't have a sinking fund for birthdays. And I've not been very good with birthdays in the past. We do have a bit of a present amnesty in this house, apart from grandchildren. But, you know, I've been thinking, now that I've had time to stop and think, that I would quite like to reinstate gifting to my kids on their birthdays. And so I've sent that one £20 and the grandchild got £10, as they usually do. Now, as I don't budget for that, I had to find that money from somewhere, and because I've spent up on my monthly allowance for this month, I took that £30 out of my YouTube income. And that leaves me with 97p, which I moved into my main bank account because I had slightly overspent and I needed to just redress that balance. I think I'd overspent by about £3 or something. So I put 97p in from YouTube, and then I borrowed the balance from my buffer fund for a week, just so that I can keep the minimum in my bank account that I need to get the benefits with the bank that I bank with. I have to keep a minimum amount in that bank account at any one time. They do allow you a little bit of leeway, but I didn't really want to take any chances, so I borrowed £2 something from my buffer fund, which I will pay back on Monday. Anyway, so there you go. Thank you, YouTube, but it's in one hand and out the other. But I really am incredibly grateful, because the £300 especially that goes into my buffer fund contributes significantly towards me keeping my head above water. And as you can see, the rest of that money has enabled me to afford extras that I wouldn't otherwise have been able to afford. So, I mean, what else has happened this week? As if having a birthday isn't enough, as if the increase in subscribers isn't enough, as if, oh, the other thing that happened on YouTube is I got a little email from them. No, it wasn't an email. It was like a flash screen notification saying that one of my videos had reached number 43 on the UK hype table. I'm not sure which one it was. I think it might have been the Do I Regret Retiring Early video. But again, that's quite incredible and a little bit scary actually, because I didn't expect that sort of exposure. But again, thank you very much to all of you who've been hyping. And thank you too to the 2 or 3 of you who've sent me support through Buy Me a Coffee. I'm really grateful for that. I do reply to all of those gifts. I'm never 100% sure whether the messages, the replies are seen. I do try and click the button that allows the message to be emailed direct to the giver as well. So I hope you've received my thanks, and I am incredibly grateful, and I will be using some of that money from the recent support to help pay for that joint of beef which we're having for my birthday meal this evening, because at the moment, not ideally, that joint of beef is actually sat on my credit card. And talking about credit cards, this week I have been back to the supermarket and I have bought some more firewood. I think I mentioned last week that they had sacks of firewood on loyalty card offer last week. I think it was 2 sacks for £12.50, usually £8 a sack, so that would have been 2 sacks for £16. And I went in and I bought 10 sacks just to top up my firewood supplies. And for those of you who are new, I work 21.75 hours in that supermarket. So I'm actually a staff member and I get 10% staff discount. So those sacks of firewood were coming in at about £5.20, £5.30 a sack, which was really good value. And I decided, looking at my firewood sinking fund, that it would probably be a good idea to go back and get some more firewood. So I have actually been back and got more firewood, and last night when I was sat in bed going through a few things, I saw that the offer has ended, and I really was very relieved that I'd taken advantage of that while it was there, because I now feel that I've got enough firewood to get me through the winter. The reason my woodshed was not filled as much as I would have liked is because I'm storing a piece of industrial equipment in that shed for one of my sons, and that's taking up space that would normally have been occupied by firewood. But having used some firewood, I now have space to refill that, and that's what I did with the supermarket firewood offer. So that's been an amazing thing this week. It's meant a little bit of toing and froing, a little bit of carrying, but in some ways doing it this way has been a lot more manageable for me, and it has been quite encouraging, because I have been concerned that as I get older, having a lorry load of firewood tipped on the pavement outside my house is going to become unmanageable, and it will mean me depending very much on help from my adult kids. Whereas while I'm still able to drive, putting bags of firewood in the back of my car is a lot more manageable and means that I can carry it into the house in bags that I can actually lift, and I can do it a little bit at a time rather than having to block out a whole day. So I think this has been really encouraging for me actually, and hopefully, you know, they might have an offer next year. I'm not going to depend on it. That's the thing with these offers. Just because it happens once doesn't mean you can depend on it again. But I'm very grateful that it was there this year, because it has helped backfill a hole in my woodshed that I hadn't anticipated being there. So that's a thing that's happened this week. Another thing that's happened this week is I've had some money back from We Buy Books. You saw, if you've been following along, that I've decluttered a bit, and I got rid of about half of my cookery books. Some of them went to the local hospice shop because We Buy Books didn't want them. But the ones that went to We Buy Books have been received and processed, and I got £8.06 back. And in actual fact, that £8.06 should actually pay for the joint of beef. It's the same amount of money, but it went on something else, actually. I think I bought some milk and some vegetables and a few other things that I needed with that £8, because, as I said last week, I'd spent up my monthly allowance because I've been shopping the bargains again, and that £8 has actually helped me get through this week. The other thing that, well, it's not really happened this week, but it sort of happened last week, but I didn't really mention it terribly much in the last coffee and catch up, is my water bill has arrived, and I have been absolutely horrified by the amount of money that my water bill is costing. Those of you who've been following along know that I have been saving my bath water in buckets to flush the loo, and that's actually made the bathroom not exactly the nicest place to be, because it's been cluttered up with buckets, and after a few days, whether you like it or not, the buckets do begin to get a little bit of a musty smell, even if you put a little bit of bleach or toilet cleaner in the buckets. Not at the same time, one or the other, okay? You don't want any chlorine getting released into the air. Anyway, my water bill arrived, and over the last quarter, despite all of my efforts to reduce using water, my bill, and it's read by a smart meter now, they've put a smart meter in on my water inlet or whatever. It said on my last bill I used 24 metres cubed. This bill, and this is read electronically, 23 metres cubed. So all of that effort has only saved 1 metre cubed. Well, 1 metre cube's 1,000 litres. So in actual fact, that's not an insignificant saving in terms of amount of water, but it really has not done much to my bill. I looked on the back of my bill, and it turns out that a metre cubed of water costs 21, and let's get this right because they've done it in pence, which is weird, 211.95 pence, which is pretty crazy, which is, in other words, £2.19 per metre cubed. So effectively, all my hard work may have saved 1,000 litres, but it has only saved me £2.19. And again, you don't just pay for the water coming in, you pay for them to drain the water away, and that will have been £2.70. So effectively, I've saved about £4.82 by all that scooping of bath water and sloshing about around the toilet ceramic. It's not a lot of money. Well, it is a lot of money, but it's a lot of work for not very much money. And looking at the bill after one of the viewer comments, I realised that the majority of my water bill is actually made up of standing charges. Surface water drainage is £19.51. The water standing charge is £12.63, and the sewerage is £7.29. They're charging me £59 to for sewerage, which is basically anything that drains away from the house, and then £48.75 for the water that I use. So it's actually costing more to drain the water away than it is to use it. I'm just thinking, you know, even if I reduced that by another metre cubed, it's only going to take another £4 off my bill. So I honestly don't know if I can get this much lower. If I used no water at all, I would still be spending £40 a month, even if I never turned the tap on or flushed the toilet. So the water that I'm using every month is costing me about £100, and 60% of that is for the water being taken away, and 40% of that is for the water coming in. I must admit the dogs do cost me a little bit, because I do put the washing machine on for them once or twice a week. Yes, I might do a little bit more investigating into what makes up the 23 metres cubed of water that I've used in the last 3 months. Yeah, I'm using nearly 2 metres cubed of water a week. I don't honestly know where that's going. Anyway, I think I might, if I've got a bit of spare time, do a little bit more investigating into how much water each of my daily activities is using, to see what I can do that will effectively reduce the amount of water that I use. Now, what I do have to remember about this bill is 2 of those months I did have my youngest son living with me full time. So I'm probably not going to know the full impact of him moving out until I get next quarter's bill. The only issue with that is it will include Christmas, when I've got an extra 6 people in the house for 3 days, 2.5 days. But that's okay. Yeah, maybe what I could do is lift the lid on my water meter when I know I'm going to be on my own for a week, take a reading at the beginning of the week, and then take a reading at the end of the week, and try and reverse engineer the mathematics and see what I actually am using, and if there's anything I can do to reduce this water bill, because it really is still absolutely crazy. And the fact that, you know, even if I use no water at all, I would be paying the water company £39.43 every quarter. Well, enough about that. I've been whinging about my water bill now for 6 or 7 months, and I think it really has got to stop. Okay, so what's coming up? What's coming up in the next week or so? Well, I've got my first annuity payment for this month has come in. I'm expecting annuity payment 2 tomorrow, and I'm expecting annuity payment 3 on Monday morning. And then once that's in on Monday, I can pay myself my £1,400 monthly living allowance, and I will be able to tell you next week how we're doing with building up the buffer in the buffer fund. The other thing that will be coming up next week is supermarket payday, so I should be able to give you a breakdown of how I'm going to allocate my supermarket pay for December. We do have Christmas coming up, and we've got staff discount shopping week coming up, and I still haven't explained to you how I'm going to budget for that, and I'm still constructing the shopping list, because obviously the offers and things are constantly changing. But then other than that, everything's pretty calm at the moment. But anyway, that's about it from me today, and thank you again for the birthday greetings. This girl really is now 65 years old. Thank you so much for watching, and let's just have a quick update from the snoring puglets. Bye bye for now.